Welcome to the Globe. We are a group of 72 scholars who live on the K floor of Simmons that like to talk about global issues throughout the semester. One way we do this is by holding dinner discussions, which are informal talks we have about a specific global issue. They are a great way to learn about new issues in a comfortable setting. A medium like dinner discussions should be used more often in classes to enhance the learning process. The following interviews were taken before and after a dinner discussion about the caste system in modern-day India. The interviews demonstrate students' support for the forum.
Yes, multiple times. I've talked about Google Glass, North Korea, and the Catholic Church recent sex abuse scandals.
No, because I don't live in the globe.
I guess I only know about it through the eyes of my family, sort of. So I know that in my family, like, the caste system, it's not, like, overtly important, but I also know that, like, if I were to marry out of my caste, say, I'm a Vaishya, that's my caste, and if I were to marry out of that, it would make my extended family a little bit uncomfortable. Not because they have prejudices towards other castes, but because, like, there's sort of a culture that you build around these castes, so for me to marry outside that culture, it might be a little different for my family.
Not that much. So in my freshman history class, we kind of covered it for actually quite some time, but it was like a really basic kind of summary thing, and yeah, not that much.
Being Indian, I've had a little bit of exposure to it. I know that it's not legally sanctioned by the Indian government anymore, but that it is still more of a social practice as it has been in the past.
Absolutely, because I try to go to the ones that I actually don't really know much about, because I feel like listening to other people, they're going to give me like more insight, and I learn more talking to them than I would like reading or researching about it.
I think I've learned a lot actually, because especially like the crowded attracts, people come from different majors or different perspectives, or they just have different interests. So the input that people bring in is like very different from what I know. It's very different from my background, and their opinions are very different from mine often. So I do learn a lot from just having these discussions with them, and it's nice to have that setting for these discussions, because just like walking to class, we're usually not going to be talking about North Korea, but when you dedicate time for that, it's kind of nice.
First, let's start off by kind of like telling each other what do we know about the caste system, you know, back in ancient India and modern, and like what are your own experiences with it, even though some of us are from India.
Well, I learned a lot about the caste system in India. I didn't really know much about it prior to discussion, except that it was kind of a social hierarchical structure, and I didn't even know that it existed in India specifically. I just kind of knew the name of the system, and I learned a lot that still to this day, people are discriminated because of the specific class that they're born into.
I definitely learned a lot more about the caste system and how it's organized. Going into it, I really didn't know all that much, so it was great to hear the people who had experience with the system try to explain it, and I got a much deeper understanding.
Honestly, I don't really know if there's anything I dislike about them.
That's fine.
But if I was going to have to pick something, I guess maybe I would say potentially the lack of somebody keeping us in line, or somebody structuring the way that we do them, because since it is just a group of friends, like, we're free to talk about anything else. Yeah. Which is why the conversation eventually led to North Korea. After like an hour of talking about the caste system, eventually we started talking about something different. But yeah, so I guess if we were gonna optimize the efficiency, we would probably want to have someone to,
Actually be there.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can get off topic a little bit, because just people talking, we go from one thing to the next, and then we are eventually like on a brand new topic, which actually happened.
Like North Korea.
In North Korea. But I feel like, there's a negative, because we're no longer talking about what we intended to talk about, but it's also a positive, because new things can come up that we can discuss.
We had it in the Globe Lounge, which I think was a good place to be. I don't live in the Globe, but even being as a non-Glober, just like sitting around in the Globe Lounge is a really nice, carefree space where you can still have a good discussion, and it's not very tense. It's nice and open. We can I guess sitting on couches really did make a big difference rather than sitting in like, you know, regular chairs and stuff like that. And I liked the way that we were all pretty much sitting in a circle because then we could see what everyone was talking about. And yeah, so I mean, I felt like it was a nice open space where people were really free to say what they wanted to say, and there was no fear of being judged by anybody.
I think that it was a conversation between students, and that led to like a lot more open discussion and open opinions. So I feel like I actually learned more than just simply like a lecture, because it could be back and forth, and it was kind of a casual environment.
I know I feel certain ways about certain topics, but people always feel differently about them, so I like seeing other people's viewpoints, and it kind of helps you realize that maybe you're not entirely right. You have to take others' opinions into account, so.
Yes, I am more engaged. I am definitely encouraged to think creatively about the situations that we talk about, and I don't think that I get that from a classroom-style formal discussion.
It's definitely important sometimes to just like let the experts talk. But like, I think it would be really good to involve students in the conversation a little more. Having like seminar-style classes, at least a few offered, or like, I'm sure there are a few offered, but making them a little more popular, I think that would be a really good idea, because a lecture is useful because it allows you to convey ideas pretty efficiently, but then there's also something to be said about like conversation. You can learn a lot from it.